Hey everybody, good morning. Welcome to our off-grid cabin. Today's video is going to talk about our solar system, and we're going to talk about how we don't need to spend tens of thousands of dollars. First off, I'm not here to convince you of anything or to over dramatize anything with solar. What I'm trying to do is help you guys understand. We, myself included, watch a lot of YouTube channels that have these mega systems that have 20, 30, 50, 100 kilowatt hours of storage. And, that's great. Everybody has different needs and wants in the solar world. Even if your budget's smaller than mine was, you could start smaller. Batteries are really the most expensive part of any solar setup. And in this situation or your situation, you can start out with just one battery and you can upgrade as you go, as your budget allows. So this video isn't sponsored or talking to you about any specific brands or companies, but I'm just sharing my experience. These panels have been great. These Renogy panels have been great. This tracking system has produced really well for us and taken good care of us. I feel like this is a great option for a lot of people who have limited space. That's kind of what it was built for, and limited amounts of sunshine. In most people's situation, they're in the woods a little more. They have limited hours of sunshine, so they have to capitalize on their sunshine. And that's what this tracking system does. Homesteaders who are out in farm country, not necessary. You could build a stationary array like we did, and you get sunshine all day. Cheapest route, build yourself a woodshed. You probably need one anyway. Face it south facing the roof and throw some lumber on there and set them in there. This has been sitting here for 3 years. No problems. We get a lot of wind up here, a lot of bad weather, and it hasn't even pulled out. They're not even like mounted down or nothing. They just sit flat there. So no troubles. But anyway, our system to originally set up, and it's been taking care of us for 3 years, has cost us under $4,000. That's including all the wiring, crimps, batteries, solar charge controller, inverter, and 1,000 watts of solar panels. Like I said, the tracking system over there was a sponsored video for us, so we have no investment there. But it has, I think this tracking system in itself is $450 plus 1,200 watts of panels. So solar panels right now are really cheap. Lithium iron phosphate batteries are getting really affordable. They're not even double the price of these older AGM lead acid batteries that we have here. We have reasons for doing what we do here. In our case, we're in northern Michigan. We needed to have a good set of batteries that could charge in the cold, and that's why we ended up with AGM sealed lead acid batteries. I'm not great with maintenance, like keeping up on maintenance, so flooded lead acids you have to maintain, fill with distilled water, or keep them hydrated. The sealed lead acids don't evaporate or burn off water, so I knew that I wouldn't be as good with maintenance, so I went this route. What we have here is 10,000 watt hours of storage capacity. We have 8 batteries at 1,200 watt hours apiece. They're 12 volt, 100 amp hour batteries. So we have 9,600 watt hours, so around 10,000 watt hours of battery storage. With lead acids, you don't get that full capacity, so I cut that in half. We get 4,800 watt hours of storage capacity because we don't want to drain our batteries below 50%, so I only use 50% of that capacity. So at this point in time, lithium iron phosphate batteries, their lifespan is 10 times as long, and you get to use the full capacity. So really, in reality, they are a far better deal. And you guys, now that it's 3 to 4 years later than when we built this system, should seriously consider that. They'd have protections that protect them from charging the cold. Some batteries as well have heating, so if you're in a northern colder climate, you can get heated lithium cells or lithium iron phosphate cells. But this works as well too. This is simple, and I like simple. There's no BMSs to go wrong in the batteries. And they do what they're supposed to do. They store energy very well. But and there's less technology to go wrong. So here is our 8 AGM batteries. These at the time of purchase cost us about 150 bucks a piece. So we have $600, $1,200 worth of batteries for 5,000 watt hours of storage. Here's our 40 amp ePever charge controller. What this does is take power from the solar panels and manages that power and turns it into useful energy to charge our batteries. As you guys can see, it's 9:30 in the morning here. I have double blinking lights. That's not the camera playing tricks on you. It's double blinking. That means our batteries are full. So really, we are over capacity. So if you only needed 2 batteries for your cabin, because you're just running lights and charging a few things, 2 batteries. That's 6 extra batteries you don't need to spend money on. We run a lot of stuff, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes, what we run on this system. But you could get away with saving 800 bucks. 900 bucks, and just use a couple batteries. Here is the top side that tells us all of our information. This tells us what our battery is at. It tells us right here our batteries are at 29 volts. I have these batteries run in series parallel. So we have 2 batteries next to each other that create 24 volts, and then they're in parallel all together. So this is bulk charging or float charging at 29 volts right now. It's full. Completely full. Right here is telling us what we're bringing in from our original solar array. Our voltage is 98 volts and half an amp, which is nothing because, one, we don't need the power, so the charge controller is not going to take power to the batteries and we don't need it. But again, we don't have any sun on these panels yet. As you can see, they're about a third exposed just since we started this video in the last 5 so minutes. So like I said, in an hour, this will be in full sun. And guys, I have a solar playlist where I've showed you this system over the years. It hasn't changed much other than the addition of the additional solar array. But something I have lacked to express in most of my videos about solar is the necessity for sun exposure. I know it sounds silly and like something you would think you would mention first off, but a lot of people have issues with solar and its functionality because they don't have good sun exposure. Again, this is in the shade right now. If we were in the woods right now, we would get partial sun exposure to the array. And when you're running your solar panels in series parallel or series in general, if there's a part of the panels that's covered, none of that energy is going to really transfer well. So if you're in the woods and you're only getting partial sun all the time, you're not going to have success with solar. So like I said, if you're on a homestead where you farm and you have open farm country, or you're in the woods and there's a lot of tree cover, that's 2 huge different things. I mean, that's kind of the no-brainer part of it, but we miss that. Like, it's not really talked about. We need full exposure to the sunshine, and we're on top of a hill here, so that works great for us. It just was part of the plan, but worked out great. We get a little bit of coverage in the morning from some of these trees and in the winter, but the winter, the leaves are gone. So when the sun's lower on the horizon, the sun filters through some of these trees. As you can see right now, the sun is really high and will be across here all day long because it's the middle of summer. Don't dismiss how important sunshine is to your solar panels. It sounds silly and like a no-brainer, like common sense stuff. But if you're in the woods and you have partial shade, partial sun, and your panels are not fully exposed to the sun without any blockage, you're not going to get a good charge rate. Doesn't matter if you have 10,000 watts of solar panels, if they're not pointing at the sun or they're not getting optimal sunshine throughout the day. So that being said, like I said again, charge controllers, double blinking, battery banks full. We have not shorted ourselves anything in the cabin. I don't even hardly look at this. I used to look at this every day to see how things were doing, but I could go a week and not even look in here because everything charges really well this time of year. Here's our 3,000 watt inverter. This is more than we need. 3,000 watts is a really good round number without going too high. Pure sine wave 3,000 watt inverter. You have 2 15 amp 110 volt outlets here, and then we have our wires lugged into our transfer switch that we can run a generator off here. We could put you guys, if you've been here a while, you see we have backup power in here with an extra power station or solar generator that we can hook to our transfer switch. Right now we're running on the solar shed. But if I have a shortcoming in the winter time, there's many options for me to hook up to this 30 amp plug and feed our whole cabin. And with the flip of a switch, we have power from a different source. Now we could talk about that later in the video as far as, we do a lot of solar stuff here. We do a lot of solar generators and power station reviews / sponsorships. I really enjoy doing those. They help support our channel, and I get to show you guys products that are very comparable to this entire build. This entire build took us months to get, figured out. I am not a professional, so it took me months to figure out how all this worked. It took me months to gather all the materials, and there are simpler options that cost about the same as this setup now. And we could talk about that later in the video. So if you want to talk about some solar power generators or solar power stations, we do a lot of those. And it's a fun thing for us to do, and it helps support this channel. So anyway, so 3,000 watts, we run our whole cabin on 30 amps or less of power. We don't have like washing machine and dryer and stuff like that in the cabin, but we do have a refrigerator. We charge our computers all day long. We have lights throughout the whole cabin, ceiling fans, bathroom fans in the bathroom. We have all kinds of stuff. We charge our phones. We charge our battery equipment. We have excess power. We have excess power for most of the year. We do have some shortcomings in the middle of the winter, but everybody does with solar. That's the pitfall of solar when there's no sunshine. Like I mentioned earlier, if you're not getting good sun exposure, solar isn't going to work. If you're in the woods and getting covered up all the time, you're not going to work. You need to cut some trees down. If it's winter time, like December through February, we have a rough time with solar here. If you have a lot of solar panels, say you have 5 times what you need in the summer, we have 2,200 watts here. If we had 5,000 watts of solar panels, even on cloudy days, we would get a couple, like 500 watts, 10% of the output that would charge our solar shed. So you can overdo the solar panels in the winter, and it will help support your needs. Our system works pretty good, like I said, for 9 months out of the year. If you are a weekend warrior, or you come to your cabin for 1 week a month, or a few days a month, or every other weekend, this system would take care of you really well. Now we leave everything on even when we're not here. And we're here most of the time. We very rarely leave for holidays or family occasions. So this system took really good care of us. Like I said, a year and a half ago, we upgraded the second array. We have that running to a completely separate charge controller. This is a Renogy Rover 40 amp. These are affordable. $200 for this charge controller, $130, $150 for this charge controller. These are lower budget charge controllers. They only take 1,000 watts of power, 40 amps / 100 volts of PV input, solar input. So if you're gonna build a huge system, good for you. That's great, but you don't have to if you don't want to, especially if you're not complicating this whole process. You don't need to run a 5,000 watt gas generator to have lights and TV in the cabin or in your RV. You can get away with a system like this, no problem. So guys, do me a favor, in the comment section below, ask any questions you have. If I'm forgetting something, a lot of people ask why 24 volt, why 12 volt, why 48 volt, why change the voltage of your batteries or series parallel things together. Why not go with bigger panels? I like simple. Smaller panels have smaller voltage and smaller amp output, so you can use simpler, less expensive charge controllers. Why do 24 volt? Why up the voltage on your battery bank or your complete system? Well, that allows for smaller wires. Um, Wires are a big expense when you're building a system like this. People, forget that these wires are 2-aught copper stranded wire, and they are like, it's like $5 to $10 a foot. It's expensive. It's 100. It was like $100 and some for 10 feet of this wire, 2 different colors, so 20 feet of it. It's expensive stuff. So if you increase your voltage at your batteries, you can use smaller wire and save yourself some expense. And it's more efficient. You lose efficiencies when you transfer from lower voltage to higher voltage. Like this is our AC power. This is where the inverter converts this 24 volt battery bank into AC power, 120 volt, 115 volt. You get less lossages, and it's more efficient to go from higher voltages to 120 volt. This 120 volt wires into our transfer box and then feeds a wire underground. We dug a channel over to our cabin, and we have our whole cabin basically was originally set up like an RV. So it had a 30 amp plug. It still has a 30 amp plug. Actually, in our pantry, we have a 30 amp RV plug and an outlet, and it wires underneath the cabin. We have a fusible disconnect underneath the cabin, and then that runs to an outlet inside our pantry where we can plug in a 30 amp TT30 plug that goes to our AC breaker box. So the whole cabin is wired just like a typical house or an apartment. We don't have any DC appliances in the cabin. I do have one 12 volt line going underground as well in the same conduit to our water pump. That's the only thing we run on DC is our water pump. It's set up again like that water system for our cabin, set up like an RV. Has a 12 volt pressure regulated pump, 12 volt power, comes on when you open a spigot or open a faucet. Pretty simple. For $1,000 worth of panels, $1,000 worth of batteries, $1,000 worth of charge controller and inverter, and then $500 to $700 worth of crimps, wires, tools, MC4 builder. Like we build this system, we have around $3,700, less than $4,000 into our solar system. It's been taking care of us for over 3 years now, or close to 3 years, give or take a few months. You don't need an epic tens of thousands of dollar system. You don't need it. So you could take care of a refrigerator. We run a refrigerator full time here now, and our system takes really good care of us. If you're, the more you use, the more equipment, the more electronics you use, the bigger the system you need. But we don't overdo it. We have 2 laptops plugged in all the time. We charge our phones. We have lights, fans. We actually just installed a mini split that we did a sponsor video for. We have a mini split now that can run off this system, and that mini split can draw 500 to 900 watts depending upon what we're doing with it. If we're heating with it, it's around 500 to 600 watts. If we're cooling, it's more like 700 to 900. Well, people are asking us, how can we run a mini split on such a small system, heating and cooling? Well, again, this solar array is producing 900 watts of power all day long. This one does around 800 or 900 watts all day long. So if the sun's shining, we have excess power to burn off. We can burn it off on the mini split. If the sun's not shining and it's hot out, I'm not using my mini split for more than 5 or 6 hours, probably 6 or 7 hours before it's going to deplete my battery bank. But if we're producing enough power with the solar panels, it's not even going to touch the power in my stored power in my battery bank. I could run, 1,000 watts of stuff all day long to purge power. That's what we do. A lot of times we have a lot of solar power stations that we use around the property here or there, power the pole barn. I'm working on setting up an easy, simple system in the pole barn. We got a few more solar panels for that. I bought 1,200 watts of panels. You see them over here by the barn. That's going to run to a power station in the pole barn. And if you want to talk about that for a few minutes, we can talk about that at the end of the video, how there's better options. The prices and technology is come leaps and bounds compared to when I built this system. The prices of lithium iron phosphate and solar panels and power stations or solar generators was triple the price they are today. So again, this video is not sponsored, but I'm just talking about the different technologies, different options for you. I'm going to show you over here real quick. We have a 4,000 watt hour storage power station here. That is in our solar shed most of the time for backup power. We don't use it except for a couple months of the year, but it's there if I need it. That solar power station or solar generator is a little more expensive than what we have built here, but it's plug and play. It's all in one. You could buy it and have it and be done in a day or two. Once you get it, it's just ready to go. Just plug into it and go. I don't have to buy outlets and plugs and wires and fuses and breakers and charge controllers and inverters and batteries, and so you still need solar panels, but that's one said done. You may pay an extra $500 to $1,000 to have that convenience of having it done for you instantly, but it's available now, guys, and the prices are good. Buy from a reputable company. Do your research. Check out lots of reviews. But the big three, Jackery, Blue Eddy, Anchor, they all make great products, and they're available. And they use lithium iron phosphate LiFePO4 technology, so they'll last 10 to 20 years. No problems. Like the pole barn, we're going to set up more solar over here, and we're going to run it on a power station instead of building another system. You're going to save a little bit of money by building your own system, but you're going to have a lot of downtime. You have to learn a lot, which is okay. I wanted to learn. I wanted to know what I could get away with, and I want to know how to fix stuff, so that's why I built DIY. And like I said, when we built this, the technology wasn't there yet with the power stations and with the solar generators. Now they're there, and the prices come down. Like, they're half the price they used to be when I built this solar shed 3 years ago. 4 years ago maybe now. But anyway, so guys, I don't want to just sit here and continue to ramble, but if you have questions and there's something I left out of this video, please ask it in the comment section below. When I do a solar video or update video, I try my best to reply to every comment. It's getting a little harder the more videos we get and the more followers we have here, and I may not get it to it in an hour, but I may get to it a day or two later. I try my best, like I said, especially in these solar videos. So I know there's a lot of people that are thinking, you know what, I don't have $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 worth of money saved up to go solar. Well, you don't need that. You need $4 grand. You could do this for $4 grand. It's still a significant investment, but $4,000 with good sun exposure, panels, batteries, and a few things, you can power an off-grid cabin for years to come. $4,000 for 3 to 4 years of power in my cabin. I mean, if I had an electric bill, that cost $50 to $100 a month. So I've already paid. It's already paid for itself. Let's say it's $100 a month for 3 years, $3,600. So I'm at even right now, and I've refrigerated and run all my electronic and charged all my electronic devices, no problem. You guys, you can have refrigeration. You can have some creature comforts with fans. Like I said, our mini split has been taking care of us for the last couple months since we've had that set up. Try solar. Don't listen to all the people on YouTube that say, hey, you need, in the comment section that say, hey, you need, solar doesn't work. They're just people who are either jealous of people who are making it work, or they just want attention. I don't know what it is. People comment that solar doesn't work. I don't know why. I don't understand what they're gaining from it, but solar does work. Good sun exposure, and you're good to go. So thanks, guys, for watching this video. We appreciate you. Again, questions, comments, suggestions. Let's help people who are new to solar or have concerns about it, or think you have to. Let's set things right. I know we have a lot of good subscribers here that do this as well, do what we're doing, and they've pointed me in the right direction through the years and shared that it can be done. And it gave me confidence and hope that what I'm doing here is going to work or would continue to work, and it has. So don't listen, like I said, don't listen to the naysayers or the people who, sit on their computer and do nothing all day and make negative comments. Solar works. It has its shortcomings at times of year, but you can get around that as well. So rather than rely on the system for 12 months a year, you can maybe use a generator at times or more solar panels, or lessen your consumption during a couple months of the year and make that work. Why not work towards sustainability? So anyway, guys, thank you very much. We have a whole solar playlist of the last 4 years if you want to see where we started. I don't go into depth of exactly how to hook the systems up because I'm not a professional, but I do show you how we've progressed and the successes we've had. I have a video we did about a year ago now that tells you about how not to get scammed into high cost appliances. Like, those appliances work good, but they're 10 times the price of standard appliances. So check that video out if you'd like. I think that's a good video. It's very similar to this one, but we talked more about the appliances and the inside of the cabin. So check that video out, and we hope to see you in the next video. Subscribe if you're new, and give me a thumbs up if you appreciate the little bit of time we took here to make this video for you. All right? Best wishes. See you in the next one.